The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
And we are live. And we are back. There we go. Hello, everybody. And welcome to Hey Ho, Let's Go. Our preview. Well, it's not actually a preview. It's a pre-game. I should say that in more of a North American style, shouldn't I? It's a pre-game show. As you can see, we are joined by Chris and Scott. And my name is Roger, or Banksy, depending on how well you know me. And I am in my basement, and we are about to play Brighton and Hove Albion down there on the south coast. Good morning, Chris. Oh, sorry, I should say good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon,
mate.
How are you boys doing?
Can you, mate? I think we need to tell everybody like where you are in the world, rather than just locked in some random basement.
That is true. Yeah. That is true. I am in Canada, so it's now 8:04 a.m. And that's why I'll be just on the water. Just before we came on, Chris cracked open a pint of was it Strongbow? Or was it?
It was woodpecker, mate. Like, do you know what it is? Like, you don't see woodpecker very often these days. But I just went popped in the shop and had some woodpecker. And I think he's overcharged about £2. Like, but
yeah. Well, I was thinking, do we need an intervention here? But it's not 8 o'clock where you are, so I think you're fine.
I'm all right, mate.
Scott, how are you doing, mate?
I'm grand, mate. International mags. This one. Got Amsterdam. You got Canada and Shields. So
Shields. Amsterdam, Canada, and Shields.
I couldn't think of 3 better locations. All close to my heart.
Exactly.
Well,
it's good to have you back, though, Roger. It's lovely to have you back, mate. It's been a long time since your face and voice has appeared, and there's lots of comments coming in, mate. As people that are new to the channel, Roger used to host a show before he nicked off to Canada called Extra Time, and it went down really well, Extra Time. So yeah, there's some lovely comments coming in for you, Roger.
Oh, that's very nice. I can't see them, so I'll have to take your word for that.
Good job, because of some bad ones as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's to be expected, isn't it? You know what I mean? When you turn coat and leave the country, what else can be expected? But I don't know if you two gentlemen knew, but today is a historic day for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons is because it's the first time we're doing this, possibly the last. Let's find out see how the next 45 minutes or so pans out. But it's actually the day that Newcastle United beat Grimsby Town 2-0 to secure promotion in 1993 back to the Premier League, with goals from Andy Cole and David Kelly. So there you go. And King Kev was crowned on the telly, and Lee Clark went mental in the changing room. So that was a very historical day. And of course, I'm sure everybody will remember the goal scored by Santiago Muñez against Fulham FC on this day in 2005. So only a decade ago. And I mean, look at where his career went after that. I mean, so probably slightly more significant day than the David Kelly day, but nonetheless, 2 very historic moments in our history. So there you go. So today we decided, a few days ago, I had a bit of a brainwave and I was sitting having some dinner with my girls in a place called the Fire Hall, and there was a pre-game show, and I thought, let's try and do a pre-game show. Better than watching the sprinklers. For those of you who often watch the live streams, if you're watching from abroad, you sit there for 10, 15 minutes just watching the sprinklers go on the pitch at St James's or wherever else we're playing. So we thought we'd do a little bit of a show now, and let's see how it goes, Chris.
I'm sure it'll go just fine, mate.
Nice one. Right. So I suppose we should probably get into it. My tech wizard, or our tech wizard, Scott, let's have a look at these lineups then, Scott. So what do you make of... we've gone with the same team. Eddie Howe's gone with the same team.
Let's bring it up. Yeah.
What do you make of any decisions that he's made? I suppose the real one, and the one that Eddie Howe alluded to in the press conference a couple of days ago, sounds like Joe Linton's going to be out for the rest of the season, although you can never can tell with Eddie Howe. What's your opinion on Willock, and how's he going to impact the rest of the season?
Yeah, we had this discussion in the match preview, whether it be Willock, whether it be Miley, whether it be Longstaff. It looks like he's sticking with Willock. It's an unchanged side from the last game. And, as we've probably seen from games past, we tend to not change a successful formula. And this seems to be more of the same by the looks of things. I think Willock is one of the players that needs a run of games. I think we've all kind of said that throughout the season. He's been off and on. He's been hot and cold, and he's going through a bit of a rough patch at the minute. I think he just needs to get the run of games. And you could argue maybe this isn't the time to be giving him these opportunities. Maybe we need some other bit more solidity when we actually need the results, and these are the results that matter. But Eddie Howe obviously has faith in him, and we saw what Willock can do at the end of a season when he first came to the club. Let's hope he can rekindle that form and do what he needs to do in the last 4 games of this season. But yeah,
just to jump in, Scott, as well, just because you've said that Eddie Howe's got a lot of faith in him. I've got some comments from Eddie Howe in his pre-match conference.
Preparation.
I know, prep. You don't normally get this, but prep. So the quotes from Eddie Howe. Still don't agree that he should be doing these press conferences, mine, but that's a different subject. He has said, like I said, this is about Joe Willock. He says, we have a lot of faith in Joe, and he's a like-for-like replacement for Joe Linton. He's got goal-scoring instincts, is an attacking-minded player, very quick and athletic, and a good ball carrier. On the fence with this decision, if I'm being honest with you. I think a lot of fans will probably agree that probably the only 2 choices were probably Willock and Miley. I think Longstaff's so far down the pecking order now. I think, yes, he can throw his name in the mix, but I think there's 2 players ahead of him right now. And I really wanted to see Miley. I've been really impressed with Miley when he's been getting the minutes coming off the bench. And do you know what it is? I've always been a big fan of Joe Willock, and I agree with what Scott's saying. He needs that run of form and that run of games, which he hasn't really had for a long time because he just can't get in the team. And rightly so, when we've got a midfield 3 that are unbelievable, the best in the Premier League. I stand by it. And I just think it's and Andy's put it in the chat as well, saying it's a massive end of the season for Willock. Would love to see him back to his best. I think everybody's in agreement. We all know that there's a player in there. And it just sometimes you just need anything to click in place for Willock. And I don't know, I've not been overly impressed with him this season. I've always backed him. I've always been in his corner. But I don't know. I think he's getting very, very close to the Wilson side of things, where you think, right, you're not going to get a handful of games out of him. And hence why I think Miley should have got a chance. But Eddie Howe trust him. And like Scott said, he was in a winning team last time around. So
I wouldn't go as far to say he's like for Joe Linton, mind.
No.
I didn't agree with that either. There's no like for like ever in the world.
Yeah. No. I think with Joe, Joe Willock, he feels like one of those players who just needs a little bit of love. Like he is a arm around the shoulder, to drop in a cliche quite early on there. But he is that type of player where I think Miley would just go out and he would just follow the instructions. I think Miley he doesn't seem to get emotional. And I think Willock, I feel like he wears everything on his body, on his face. Like when he against Ipswich, he was getting like knocked about a bit, and he seemed a bit agitated and a bit like, and I think probably Scott's right. He does need that run of game. So, and it looks like he's going to get it. And it is a big game to throw Miley into, I guess. But, he's played against PSG.
Do you know what, Roger? I've heard this argument quite a bit from fans saying, it's a huge game for Miley. He's played in the top games already.
The big game.
Like, come on, he's proved himself in them already. I don't think he needs to prove anything any longer. I think now's his time to get a chance. Yeah. And do you know what it is? It's very rare that these opportunities come around when a player like Joe Linton is missing and looks like he's going to be missing for the rest of the season. Yes, you get your cup games and stuff like that. I just, like I said, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit. I think I would have preferred to have seen Miley, but that's not saying that's the correct decision. I'm not a Premier League manager. Eddie Howe is. So this will probably come back and bite us on the arse when Willock gets a brace later on, mine. But And I would love them to do that. I would absolutely love them to do it.
Yeah, of course.
The interesting comment from How About Joe Linton was, but it's Joe Linton and you never know.
Yeah.
As if to go, the last game of the season.
He's
Like,
so
what?
mysterious.
It's like Undertaker, any.
Yeah, just be like,
The last game of the season gets into the lights are going to go out and he's going to come out from the halfway line.
yeah, just rise from the dead, rise from the dead. So yeah, I was going to mention about this, the like for like thing with Joe Linton, but I think Willock just needs building up, and he has got goals in him, and he has scored important goals this season, as Eddie Howe said in his pre-game press conference. So, I think he's got the experience. So I would, let's back him to hopefully.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't think it's any criticism on likes of the decision, things like that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that it's very, very hard to get a replacement with Joe Linton being injured. But it's like I think for me, Miley, just give him a chance, man. Give him some minutes from the start.
Now, I suppose, Scott, probably now is a great time to have a look at the Brighton lineup and see, because they've had a lot of injury problems this season, and I think they've probably still done pretty well. I think where they're sitting sort of around mid-table, they're kind of flirting with sort of 9th, 8th,
10th at the minute, mate. Yeah,
they're out at the minute.
Yeah.
So I think, given the injuries that they have had, and I think it's interesting that obviously Tottenham are languishing in, I don't know where they are, 17, 16. And their manager's made a really big, Ange has made a big thing about injuries, and what do you expect, mate? We're fucking got loads of injuries, mate. Whereas, the Brighton manager, whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, I'll call him Fabian because I know his first name. They have had a lot of disruptions in their lineup, and over the years they've done well because they have had a fairly settled team. So, Scott, I'll just come to you in terms of how they're going to line up. There's a few players possibly playing out of position, players that are coming in and like we've had experience of doing a job. I know Baleba had dropped into centre back in the last couple of games, but they've now got Van Hecke back. So how do you think they're going to line up? What do you think their sort of formation is going to look like?
It's probably, you're expecting probably 4 at the back with the 2 holder midfielders, like what Brighton normally do, and then you've got I don't know how you best describe it. Is it 3 attacking midfielders with Welbeck up front on his own, or do you class it as 3? Then is it 5 in the middle and then Welbeck up front on his own? However it is, it's a 4-5-1 really, or a 4-2-3-1 if you want to go modern and describe it that way. But Van Hecke coming back, obviously they've put him in the picture because he's the returning player from the injury, and he's been playing well for them. He's probably one of the highest rated in the squad in terms of recent form. I know I've had him in my FPL for the past, in and out, and he's done well scoring points. I'm not going to lie and say I've watched Brighton week in, week out, but he's getting good points for me, so I can only assume he's been doing good. And that Baleba, he's been a good replacement for them as well. He's also been doing well for them, dropping back when need be, but can also play centre back. He's almost like Mbemba for us. How he tied in centre midfield, but he was always a centre back. Truthfully, Baleba's the opposite. He's a centre midfielder who can tie in centre back when needs be. He can fill that role. But yeah, I feel they've got pace up front. Maybe it's not Welbeck, but I think maybe the legs are starting to go a little bit. But you know what Welbeck can do? He always gets a goal against her.
Yeah, and of course Minty as well.
Yeah, I was just about to come on to Minty.
Sticks out, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he got a goal for her and against her, I believe. Was it in the FA Cup? The own goal and then made amends for that. So it's a big game for him. You think it's because he didn't start in the league game, if I remember rightly. The first when was it, in December? But yeah, you just think they're a good side. Brighton. We mentioned this in the preview, like I said earlier. They are good, but both games this season they haven't really posed much of a threat to us. If you watch back both games or watch back the highlights, it was predominantly us bossing the game, and it was smash and grabs from them.
Yeah,
especially the one at St. James's. That home game was we just didn't have our shooting boots on.
Yeah,
we couldn't score.
Battered them.
And we're a different team now to what we were back then. And then you could argue that FA Cup game, that was right in the middle of our 2 semi-final games against Arsenal. We had bigger fish to fry, which, you know, you can argue, you know, we did fry those fish and we took those chances because, you know, we come out of it with the League Cup championship. So
we did fry them fish.
I do want to say we fried those fish, boy.
The Canadians are a bit off in this, Roger. I'm moving. I'm coming over there.
Oh my god, that was brilliant. Oh man, I'm surprised that Mitoma is not in the starting lineup. Is that
not there at all? Is he?
I was trying to look. It's not.
He's not on the bench. I think he has been injured because I think he was rumored to be back for this one. I think that's what it was. I'm sure he didn't play the last game. I'll double check because was West Ham the last game that they played, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
I'm really surprised because I think even he was mentioned in the he might be mentioned in the
I'm sure he came on against West Ham at some point. Yeah, he did. So he came on 62nd minute against West Ham. So obviously, I'm guessing it's another injury possibly that he's picked up there.
He's a player I really like. I really like him.
Yeah, because I think it was him and Minte, which were the two that were missing in the starting 11 from the last game out. And obviously he's back in there. Minte. I think the one which we need to touch on, because this was mentioned in our chat as well, Roger, is Hinchelwood playing at right back.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was Matt that mentioned saying that he doesn't normally play there. I've done some digging the last handful of games, and he normally plays in that defensive midfield role. But he has played 2 games in the last 5 at that right back role. One was against the random derby, Brighton Crystal Palace. The random derby. And then he played the game prior to that right back. So he does have experience there. We've done that in certain times throughout different seasons. And we've been very blessed recently with our wing back situation though. I don't think that's a huge concern. Yes, fair enough, it was his first time playing there, but it's not. But who will he be up against? So he's playing at right back. So you'll have was Bonds, wasn't it, starting?
Well, we can take a look if you want, Chris. I can compare the
Let's
lineup.
take a look, Scott. Look at all this prep.
Hey, you guys have become so technically advanced since I've been away. This is amazing. Look at this.
Whoosh, there we go. How's that?
And you prepared all this, Scott? Is that right? This is all your hard work. Is that right?
Yeah, me and SofaScore.com have done all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, all the information which we are getting at the moment, it is from SofaScore.com, which is a mint app, to be fair. It's a great app and a great website. You can compare different teams, different players and things like that. It's great. But yeah, as we can see, it's going to be Harvey Barnes attacking that left-hand side. And do you know what it is? For somebody that was unbelievably concerned about the left-hand side when we got the injury to Gordon, the send-off to Gordon, then the injury to Lewis Hall, I'm so happy with that left-hand side at the minute.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Like, when we, obviously, when the game against Brighton, when Gordon got sent off, and we're then looking at Barnes, who hadn't really, we all knew that he had it in him. He showed last season, but he was coming off the bench. But I feel like he's really similar to Willock, where he needs that run of games. He can't just drop in and just sort of pick up where he left off.
I think the difference is, Roger, normally when Willock's missing it, it's down to injuries, whereas the likes of Barnes and Gordon are always going to be competing from that left-hand side, so it's not necessarily down to injuries. It's basically a chance, and exactly what Barnes done. As soon as you get that opportunity, you have to grab it and run with it, and he did exactly that. If he had a poor couple of games with Gordon's absence, and it did help as well with Gordon picking up an injury when he was away with England as well, because he got that continued run of games afterwards as well. If he had have stunk the place out when he came in, would be having the conversation again. Would we put Willock on the left-hand side, Joe Linton on the left-hand side, would be having that same conversation again. But the fact that he's done so well, it's not. We're now thinking, is Gordon ever going to get back in there?
So in that lineup, the way that they've got it on SofaScore there, they've got this. I'm going to try and say his name, Chris. I know I made a bit of a boo-boo when I said his name earlier on. Wifa, I'm going to call him.
We'll go with that.
He looks like he's in at right back, and that Hinchelwood looks like he is in that DM position. So like I say, I know about Estupiñán. I'm going to say his name wrong as well. And he seems a bit steady. I mean, he always likes to give away a free kick. I feel like I remember him giving away, I think when we qualified Champions League, he was a little bit ropey, but I think you definitely can get at them, particularly with Van Hecke just coming back. As long as you don't do the Pardew thing, which is whenever we used to play Brighton, and generally they would have had Dan Burn and Lewis Dunk at the back, and we would just pump it up, and it would be like they'd throw bodies in front of it, and you would just give them everything they love, which is a big long ball. And I'm so glad that we're kind of away from that. You know, we have a manager that has slightly more tactical acumen than Alan Pardew.
Slightly.
I know I'm but what is Eddie Howe like? But what is Eddie Howe like in a nightclub, Chris? That's the question. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sort of like,
Eddie Howe's never seen a nightclub, mate.
Yeah.
And Tyndall's not going to be here either, so he's going to be in the nightclub.
Tyndall's definitely seen a nightclub.
He'll be down on the south coast prepping the VIP area for when the lads arrive. You know what I mean? He'll be putting the sparklers on top of the bottles of champagne and that. You know, that's what he'll be doing. Is he actually allowed? Is he physically allowed in the stadium?
He'll be allowed in the stadium. He'll just be not allowed to be pitch side. Yeah.
Stands. He'll be where he was when we played Brighton 2.5 years ago, when he was in the crowd with Staveley.
Ah, right, up in the stands. Yeah. He'll have the headset in and the microphone. So, and just any sort of other key battles that we think. I mean, how do you think? I mean, if you're Isak, are you rubbing your hands together, looking at Dunk and Van Hecke coming back from injury?
I don't think Isak's rubbing his hands together or anything at the minute. I think a lot of teams are setting up to cancel Isak out, and they've done it pretty well recently. Yes, he got a goal last time out, but it was from the penalty spot, and Isak, and it sounds really bad to say that because he's such a fantastic player, and you've always got to throw that caveat in saying yes, he's the world's greatest striker at the minute, but he's not been on form and I don't think many can disagree with that. It's yes, we've had a discussion previously on previous podcasts about is he carrying an injury and things like that, which is a possibility. Eddie Howe didn't deny it when he was asked the question. But up against that, yes, pace is going to be great for the likes of that. And do you know what? That not just him, that front three as well. If they click, then if Isak takes his chances, if he fries his fish, then we'll be all right. But we'll batter the fish. It's just one of them things, mate. I think he's the last few games he's had so many chances, so many decent chances as well, and he's failed to score from them. You're just hoping that slowly wears down now, and he starts finding the back of the net. Yeah, I mean, strikers go through these periods, but the good thing is, like you say, he is still contributing. He's having. Yeah. I don't have any idea about XG and goal involvements and all that, but he has been involved in some positive play and in some goals. Like the setup for Tonali was a thing of absolute beauty. So
I think if I click on Isak's name, we might be able to have a look. I'm sure if I click on that,
no.
Here we go.
Look at that, man.
Hang on, I've broke it.
Just be careful. What?
Here we go.
Just be careful what other tabs you have open as well. While we're on it.
Well, there's Isak's last 4-5 games.
Yeah.
He's goal and assist.
Goal, assist. Yeah.
Showing on your screen. I've got.
He's not in awful form. He's not in amazing form. He's just trundling along. You've got to, Scott. You've got to hope that these big games coming up, and Isak has proven himself to be that big game player that I think the Chelsea and the Arsenal games are absolutely huge. You've got to see him come back into form now, haven't you, Scott? Surely.
You'd like to think so. Go back up here. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once. You'd like to think he would be, but I mean, it's not like he's not getting the delivery. He's got Murphy and Bonds. I mean, Murphy last week was playing some absolute worldy balls into that box, and I think I put in our group chat, if Shearer was on the pitch, he would double his tally with the delivery that Murphy was putting in. He was just. I think he's not that sort of striker, unfortunately, and he's more of a player who likes the ball at his feet. He likes to be able to do stuff himself. He's more of a I know the comparison always gets put to this, but he is more like an Henry, where he will score those goals if they're put on play with them. But we need more players following Isak in the box to get behind.
Yeah.
To get behind those runs and get those balls on. But the thing is with Isak, I mean, you look at that rating there, he's on a 7.31. He is still scoring goals. He's still scoring. I mean, granted, the last one was a penalty.
Yeah.
But he's still up there. And for Isak, there's nothing to play for him. He's still got the golden boot, which I'm sure he would want. Yes, he's a few behind Mo Salah now. I think it's like 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5, but he's caught up with Haaland, which people didn't think he'd do. He's now just got to surpass him and chase for Mo Salah, which maybe it's a bit stretched too far this season, but he's got to be aiming for that. And provided he can get the delivery, and we mentioned about the 2 centre backs against Brighton, he'd probably also be rubbing his hands of how Isak likes to do. He'll just drift out wide a bit, have Harvey Barnes run in the middle of him, or even Joe Willock run in the middle of him, because they have a bit of a partnership as well.
Yeah.
And he'll run in and maybe he's getting an assist or 2, or however he wants to do it today. We don't know, but he's definitely going to enjoy this game, I think, based on the personnel that's in front of him in terms of that back four, but also you look at their form. They're not in the best of form, shall we say, Brighton. Yeah. They're not doing too great at the moment. They're picking up a few results here or there. But
well, even if you just look at this, you look at just the graphic you have on the screen there, like in terms of the colours, like there's a spread of greens in ours and only a small 2 greens in there. So obviously ratings wise, statistically, they've had one win in 7 games, I believe. They're like 15th or something in the form table. So they have really, really dropped off. Like I said earlier, injuries have been a factor. And we're sort of sitting.
Wasn't what on paper though. That's one thing to just say. Like this, anything could happen. Anything will happen. Like
that is.
Do you know what it is? There's a lot of things we've mentioned. Isak rubbing his hands. We've talked about Barnes. We've talked about a few players having good games. We have to remember where we are going right now.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It's a bit of a. I suppose I'll drop the B word. Is it a bogey ground for us?
100%.
100%. I think maybe that. Because we scored such a beauty of a goal with Mo Diarmi, that maybe it's the football gods have declared that
was enough.
That was that. Calm down, lads. It's a long way to travel. Don't get too excited. Completely forgetting that. I think the penalty that they got was possibly not a penalty. If memory serves, I'm probably wrong. And then of course, Jose Perez scored an absolute beauty from I think it was a Yedlin cross. I believe it was a beautiful little finish, but.
It's just one of those grounds, Rogers, where Rogers, there's only one here, so I'm saying 2 now, plural. We've got 2 Rogers. I've just got cracked them and I can't open.
What was that woodpecker?
That's why I got charged an extra £2 for it.
Sounds like
Stuff is that? Wow.
It's one of those grounds, Roger. Like do you know what it is? There's no denying it. We normally don't do very well. I'm saying normally we never do very well there, at all. Like just look the last time we that result like you mentioned where Diarmi scored that goal. Look at the goal he scored. Yeah, we'll take the piss. It was a mint goal. It was absolute fluke. Atsu smashed at it, which was going wide. Then I think, was it Murphy that tried to stick his foot out? He missed it completely. Then it was Diarmi that stuck his foot out. Then obviously lobbed the keeper.
And then he still nonchalantly was like,
right, like I meant it. Like
what I do.
We're taking their piss. Like, of course we are. And do you know what it is? It's. I've just been looking at the odds and the bookies odds, and this is through Bet365, no affiliation by the way, but just because it showed it on the app there. And Brighton are 2-1 to get a result today,
Wow.
Which is decent odds for the form that we've got down there, like.
Yeah. Well, worth a punt. Maybe it's another can, and you can.
That's what the army said.
Yeah. It was more of a stunt than a punt, I would say. It was more of a.
It's like a curveball and bowling, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Scott, just quickly coming to you. I mean, you did the preview show the other day with, I think was it Matty, Andy, and Daryl?
Daryl.
Yeah. So your prediction. This is the beauty of doing a pre-game, which is 28 minutes before kickoff. We can kind of. That was what your head was saying a day or two ago. Is your gut still telling you a 3-0?
It is. I'm going to stick with that. I still think just because of the way the games went earlier this season and the way we played in those games, and the fact it was that we just couldn't finish our dinner. God, I must be hungry. The fish, the dinner. Yeah. Just because it was the fact that we didn't take our chances was probably one of the main reasons why we lost both of those games. Realistically, if you look at them and you look back on those games, and we have been scoring for fun, bar that Aston Villa game. And let's forget about that Aston Villa game. Those are the other games of recent times since the final, really. We've been scoring.
Yeah.
It's like our lives have depended on it, really. Like, we've been scoring bagfuls. I still think 3-0 is a score. Maybe, if I had to maybe change it, maybe they nick one and change it to 3-1. But I still think we've got goals in us. I still think we can get 3. And I think the players that are on that pitch for us know what's at stake. They would have seen that Arsenal result yesterday and thought, hang on a minute, we could come second here. Because if we win all of our games, we come second, right? And I know that's a long stretch. We've got Chelsea and Arsenal to play.
Yeah.
But we've got Chelsea and Arsenal to play. Like,
we've
beat them this season. We've just beat Arsenal this season twice, 3 times already.
3 times,
do it again, yeah. So, I mean, why not? Why not come run us up in the Premier League and win the League Cup? I mean, how mad would that be?
That would be, Chris.
A great season.
Chris, that would be a season for the memories, wouldn't it? I mean,
second in the Premier League out of absolutely nowhere. Like, absolutely nowhere. Just because, like, some Man City and Arsenal have absolutely blown it. But you know what is? There's always one that has a decent run of form towards the end of the season. Let's hope that's us. Like, it's like, fingers crossed. And just going back to what Scott saying was there, 3-0. Like, do you know what it is? He wouldn't be shocked if we could go down there and get a result. And there's a comment in there from Davey Eddie that says boogies are there to be broken. Just look at Liverpool in the cup.
Yeah,
we beat Man United consistently. Things change. They do. Things change over time, and we've certainly seen it this season. I think this season has been the one that's proven that yes, it's not the old Newcastle United, which we used to see and go, all right, Dr. Newcastle's opened his office and we'll sort that out for you. It's different from that now. Having said that, I think Joe Linton is a huge miss, an absolute huge miss. And I think that's what a lot of people are worried about for this run of form going into the end of the season. Yes, last week he wasn't there, but come on, it was against Ipswich at the end of the day. We've got to take that with a pinch of salt. I think Joe Linton's so crucial to that midfield 3. He really is. But that's not saying that we can't go out there and do a job today. Yes, I would love to be as comfortable as 3-0. Of course I would. I just think it'll be a lot more scrappy than that. We saw that, especially against Villa. Villa were a quick team, hit one the counter-attack. Brighton play a high press as well. That's what worries me to a certain extent. Yes, we can obviously capitalise on that. We can hit them on the counter-attack and so on and so on. But I'm gonna go. I'll give you my prediction, even though you didn't ask for it. I'm gonna give you it now.
No. That was the inference, I guess. So
I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win to Newcastle. But like I said, I think it'll be scrappy. But fingers crossed. I think the more the game goes on, the more opportunities that we'll get throughout the game.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna win. Like, it's one of those. It's panning out since the cup final to be one of those seasons where things just seem to be falling for us. Like, every time we've been in these types of positions, I know you don't really want to rely on other results, but we've if we've lost, then other teams have won, and then we're like, oh man. But it just, particularly with the Arsenal result yesterday, which I suppose wasn't a surprise because Bournemouth have been absolutely well, as we know to our cost. Bournemouth have been absolutely brilliant this season, and they are capable. And I think they've got a bit of a say in who finishes top 4. Because I think they've got Villa as well, and they've got Man City in the run-in. Yeah. So they could still have a say. I know they're still chasing European football, and I think they would. I know you get what you deserve at the end of the season, but given how they've played, I think they do deserve that sort of recognition, I guess. But yeah, I think. I feel like these things are kind of falling, and we need to execute, and we just need to get, tip those games off, get the wins. And like Scott says, if we win all those games, which I know is a you know, is an easy thing to say, a difficult thing to do, but it is in our hands. You know, it is. We've been, the football gods have given us this opportunity, and we really, really need to take it, because it could make such a difference, not just for this season or the next season. I think going forward, the next 4 or 5 seasons, you know, getting back in the Champions League, you know, 2 times in 3 years, the war chest will come out, hopefully in the summer.
This war chest is going to be massive.
Oh,
I'm hearing about this war chest. The biggest chest you've ever seen.
It's going to be so chesty. It's going to be like it's going to be like peak. It's going to be like peak page 3 back in the.
Can you stop doing that with your hands as you're saying it, please, Roger?
It's going to be so chesty. But yeah, so I'm going to go 2-0. Although Welbeck, despite the fact that he's like what
57,
64 now, he seems, you know. I mean, fair play to him, you know, like he was obviously let go by Man United, and then Arsenal pinned him off as well. And, you know, he's like a great survivor, you know, like
we fell out of Mackems as well, didn't he, mate?
We don't mention that. You know, we could probably do with a player like, often I'd rather have him than Wilson, because he seems to stay fit more frequently than Wilson does. But, you know, it looks like Wilson might be, you know, coming back into some form of fitness. But, you know, actually just on Wilson, what are we, has Eddie, I think Eddie Howe's alluded to the fact that he would like him to stay beyond this season.
It was
up to him, isn't he?
It was a bit like, it was a bit fence sitting, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, he kind of left it a little bit open. Scott, I mean, is it time for players like Wilson maybe to, you know, he's been an amazing servant, and absolutely no disrespect to him at all, but it's got to be time to kind of, you know, move him on. And, you know, particularly if Coventry get promoted, that is the dream. He goes back to Coventry and, you know, bags, you know, a few goals for them next season. Scott, do you think it's got to be time for Wilson probably now to?
You think so? You think so? But I mean, he's out of contract, so unless we're offering him a new contract with the idea to make a bit of quid off him in January, again, who's going to buy him? Maybe he's go to Saudi, but that's like, I think that's a pipe dream, really.
We've kind of been hitting extensions of contracts recently, though, Scott, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I can't remember if we hit his extension last season, and he's had an extension, or
same thing as what we did with Dubravka, wasn't it? Was Dubravka and Fabian Shaw?
There was talk of Longstaff again getting one for the next season, or the season or whenever. But on Wilson, the only problem with losing Wilson is who do you bring in? Because it's the age-old story of like
Welbeck.
Welbeck, yeah. But I'm of the opinion of like
he's probably already lived in the city, so you know.
Yeah, he probably lived in Jasmine for most of the time he was in England. But I'm of the opinion, like, people always say, "Oh well, who's going to play second fiddle to Isak?" And it's like, I don't think people would look at it like that because of the number of games we'll have. It will be more of a look at the size of the squad. We're going to play 60 odd, 69 games or whatever it is. There's going to be rotation. It won't be a second fiddle to Isak. It's going to be a partnership with Isak, and you'll be in and out the team pretty frequently. So you're looking at, you know, 20 to 30 games easy under your belt next season, because let's not beat around the bush. Isak probably will be injured for a little bit next season as well, because he doesn't stay fit for a full season. He hasn't since he came here. So you're going to get football if you come to Newcastle. So whether you're, you know, a well-known name or you're an up-and-coming, not up-and-coming, but, you know, someone like Delap that's been battered around as well, there's a window of opportunity for you at this club, whether you're, you know, a striker who's, you know, up there, or you're in and around that kind of upper echelon of strikers. I still think there'll be names wanting to come here, even though Isak's here. So probably I've probably just talked myself into going, let's get rid of Wilson. I know that sounds really harsh.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's unfortunately that's football. That's just how it is. Like, the players have a sell-by date, and I think Wilson's getting to for some fans, he's probably past it, but I think he's getting to that. Thanks for your service. It's time for us to look elsewhere.
Chris,
Can I just jump in a second first,
go on.
Roger? Like, if anybody watching has got any questions, send them our way. We'll go for another 5-10 minutes before kick off there. So if you do have any questions, send them our way. Sorry, Roger, I just wanted to jump in there, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I was just going to kind of ask you. Obviously, talking about going back to the remaining few games of the season. Often in these sort of run-ins, there are players that kind of come to the fore, from the bench. Like, obviously, I know our bench has been, it's been quite threadbare. Our first sort of 12, 13 players is good enough to compete right at the top of the table. But, after that, we are struggling. But am I reading too much into, Will Asula getting his first goal? And, could he be, Chris, do you think he's going to have a sort of impact from now until the end of the season?
I don't know, mate. This is a topic which we've had the last couple of weeks on the Monday night show, which we do, because Decker and Mark are firmly in the Sula camp saying that he's a great footballer, he's got a lot of talent, which I'm not disagreeing with. I think he does have a lot of talent, but that's so raw at the moment. It really is. He could be a player that comes on, changes a game. I don't. In fact, I'll reword that. I don't think he's going to change a game, but he could have an impact coming off the bench and grab a goal like he did last time out. I don't think we'll see him start this season.
No.
Yes, there's only 3 games left after this one. We're not going to see him start. I think the one player that we might see come back into the team for the last run of a few games may be Gordon.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the only one that I'm thinking that might think something else.
That Everton game looms large, doesn't it? Like, Gordon's not had a great record against him.
He tries too hard, man.
Yeah,
he tries too hard against Everton.
Like, I think that could be the game where Gordon, like, he comes back and he's like, right, has a great end to the season, finishes them off, and then we'll go into summer with.
I think if Champions League's already confirmed, he's definitely back for that Everton game.
Yeah. I mean,
do you know what it is? I think, right, there's one question came in, because I'm just going to jump in with this. This actually came in early on, but was actually announced, because obviously the issues which we've had with kit clashes versus Brighton in recent years. The question was, which kit will we wear today? The club had already posted something earlier this morning. It was the match day post, which they put on, and all the lads were wearing the maroon and navy kit. So that is the kit that we shall be wearing today.
Yeah.
So do you know what it is? I never understood the kick clash last time. And Scott, you delved right into it, did you? Scott had the colorblind charts and everything up. No, you're laughing, but he did.
We had to wear that. What was it? The pre-match shirt with all the bridges and the Theatre Royal in that, the blue one.
Oh my God! Yes, was that when Howe was in the stand?
Which was also blue, by the way.
Was that the manager at that point?
Had Howe taken
the stand up? Yeah.
Had Howe,
it was Castor, so
had Howe been announced but wasn't able to take over the team.
I can't remember.
I think it was that one. It was the one. Maybe it was the one before, but anyway, because we did it on extra time. That's how long ago that was, Roger.
Wow, that is an
absolute. Oh shit! I saw maybe now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Great episode. Go back and look at it. Worth watching again, lads.
In the archives. But it was something to do with there's certain shades of blue that it's fine. Right. So I think the burgundy and the blue on this top are fine, because Brighton's is a very kind of prominent, like, navy blue.
Do you know what's the actual code for it? The Dulux code? Is it like 0651?
After for your basement, like?
Yeah. This anthracite's just not. It's not popping enough, I need some sort of like.
There is another question that's came in, Roger, and it's about the fella over your left shoulder, mate. This is
ignore the fact that it's off center. It's really annoying.
Yeah, it is off center. Yeah, it is. It's from our very own Andy. That is, will we see Botman today?
I think so. Later on in the game, I think. I think we need to get as much football into Botman before the end of the season as we possibly can. You've got to think that everything going well, we're starting one of the starting centre backs for the, looking on into next season, which might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But for me, yeah, I would bring him back in. It's just then, and this is where how kind of coming back to what we were saying about Wilson before, Howe's going to have to show a ruthless side going forward because, yeah, he'd be playing off centre. That's like how, and how, I think how he has the respect of the players because I feel like he's the type of manager who is very clear with them in terms of explaining why not playing, because I think he probably went through that in his career. And I think some really tough decisions have got to be made around, a new, it sounds like a new centre back will be coming in. Obviously, like Scott was saying, we're going to have a lot more games next season, hopefully.
We do have 2 Asian centre backs as well.
Asian? Huh?
Aging.
Oh, Asian, right, okay. That's interesting.
I knew that was coming as soon as I said it.
I'm Chinese burn. That's what it is.
Chinese burn. Did you oh my God. Yeah, I was in the flow there. Can't remember what I was saying now. Anyway, yes. So, it's going to be interesting how that whole dynamic works out, because you've got to expect Burn still to be there. Shaw's had a new contract. Botman's back from injury. There's going to be another. Is it Gahey? Is it another player that comes in? I suppose the only thing we know is time will tell on that one. So it's going to be a really interesting few games, and then the summer is going to be, which I'm sure we'll cover as the days pass. Just really quickly looking towards the remaining games of the season. Do we think? I'll come to you, Chris. Do you think the Everton game is going to be irrelevant?
I think for league position for us, yes, like 100%. I think yes, it's going to go down the wire, but I think we're going to already secure one of those Champions League spots. I think we'll already have it. I think it's Chelsea Forest, isn't it? Last game of the season. Yeah. I think it's going to be probably between them two. That's going to nick the last spot. But I think we should have it by then, mate. I really do think that. I think I said on Monday night, this game for us coming up that we're all about to watch after this is crucial. We get 3 points here, and we are laughing. What, with 2 points behind Arsenal at that point? You're absolutely laughing.
Yeah.
Then you go into that next game thinking, right, like we capitalize on this, and you mentioned it earlier on, Roger. Everybody else that seems to be tripping up at the final hurdle, we're just grabbing that and going, right, that's our focus. They've messed up. We're playing after them. Just target that. Like, we do our job. Don't worry about anybody else. And we've done it for the last, well, probably just since a cup, really. I think that's pretty when we've done it. Yes, apart from that Villa game, which was a huge blip. But they happen. These things happen in football. There's always one game where you end up scratching your head. And it's not the first time Villa have done it to it. And you think, how's that happened? Like, how have we just not shown up today? Good thing we've had another week there to recover from the last game. And we'll go into it hopefully with everybody fully fit now that's starting the game. So I think we'll have it done and dusted, mate. I really do.
We've got other teams with other games to play as well. Like you've got Chelsea still in Europe. You've got Man City going for that FA Cup final. There was someone else as well, isn't there? No, Forest got knocked out, didn't they? So they got beat this week, didn't they? So like they're slipping up as well.
If you take the emotional attachment out of it, if you were just looking at those games, there's so many teams that play each other that like they can't all win. They can't all win. So
and Newcastle's the one that you want to dodge. Yeah. Like, if you're a supporter of any team, Newcastle's the one you want to dodge at the minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like, Scott, I think that Everton game is going to be more of a celebration, hopefully, than anything else, I think.
Unless we're going for second.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Well, I suppose, lads, it's 9 minutes to kick off. We've had a little bit of positivity at the very end there. So it's probably a good time to wrap up. Please remember, I had to remember what is it? What is it?
Been a while, mate, hasn't it?
What is it you young people do? Like, subscribe, share, get your notifications from all of the Gallowgate Shots content. I have to say, even though obviously I've not been on myself, I have been following the lads, and I'm really, really, it's just great to see how it's grown and all the different content that you're adding and how it's going, Chris. So without being too sycophantic, Well done, Bonnie lad.
Oh, welcome back, mate. Welcome back. There's before you go, there is a question for you, and it's from Davey Eddy. That says, "Any trips back to the Toon in the future? It's a great for your career over there, fair play, but you must miss the crack in the Toon." Randomly, Roger, I bumped into you in the queue to Wembley. Me and Mark were walking past, and Mark was like, "Chris, there's Roger." So we both ran over and gave you a big hug, mate.
Roger!
Big hug, like a celebrity. I walked straight past Paul Dummett to you.
Well,
like, of course, that was always going to happen.
Yeah, you would get him on the way back. Don't worry about that.
No, you're back and forth quite a bit on you, mate.
Yeah, like we try and get back, as much as we can. My girls, miss, particularly my older girl, she misses our cousins and things like that. So we are back in the summer for we've got a good spell back in July, see all the family and things like that, and then we're kind of back and forth a little bit. But I've been really fortunate that we've been able to get back, for games. I mean, the cup final, just very briefly, it was spring break. Woohoo! Spring break over here. So I'd already planned to come back because we're due to play Crystal Palace on the weekend. So I did like Wednesday to Wednesday. And then as we progressed through the rounds, I was like,
scored.
Oh my God, we could be in the cup final. And then after I think it was Brentford, I booked the hotel, and then after the Arsenal first leg, I booked the trains, and I was like, it's happening. And it did, and the rest is, as they say, is history. So yeah, I've been really, really lucky. Like, shout out to my wife, she's very, very supportive. Like, she's like, if you want to go back, just go back. Like, so we'll see. We're having a good time over here, and I've been down to NBA courtside in Toronto, which is where the Toronto Toon Army meet up, and like, that's a really, for the big games in particular, it's absolutely brilliant. Like, you could be in the big market. It's class. It's absolutely brilliant. So big shout to those the guys. I think it's Rory and a few of the lads who organised that. And actually ran into, just to drop a name there, ran into Stephen Caldwell there the other day when I was watching I think it was the Ipswich game, and so I had a bit crack with him. So yeah, so it's a good spot, but yeah, we've been fortunate enough to be able to get back. So, but who knows what the future holds? I guess, to be very mysterious and that. So there you go. That's my 2 penneth, and I'll stick to that.
Sign wow, mate. Let's go watch this game.
Right. So, lads, the teams are in the tunnel. Enjoy the game. See you later. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
See you, everybody.